Hello everybody, welcome back to Spill the Tea. Lou, for those of you that don't know, my name is Lou. I am a Manchester United fan, but I'm probably this happy because my team didn't play today, which means they didn't disappoint me. I'm actually going to speak about everybody else's team, which I find much easier because it's much less miserable for me. Now, excuse me for being 2 minutes late. I was in fact making a cup of tea that I don't intend to spill, hopefully. Hello Streets, thank you so much for joining me, my wee friend. It is nice to see you. The others will be joining us momentarily. There's Jay getting in the house. I know Flossie is out walking the dogs, then she's going to be with us. Do get your votes into the poll. Just a little bit of fun. The Arsenal fans are probably not going to be here tonight. They probably don't want to talk to me because, let's face it, I'm not going to give them as much credit maybe as some other channels. I'm going to do my best, but I voted for Wolves on the poll, so that tells you the direction that this video is going in if the thumbnail didn't. It's nice to see everybody. You didn't get too much notice that I was going to be going live today because, frankly, I wasn't sure. I was at work today. I was at work yesterday. Christmas is over. I'm back to responsibilities. I'm back to boredom. And you know what it is? I'm so tired. I actually had 5 whole days off for the first time in 12 months. So I had no holidays during the year because obviously I work for myself. So I had 5 whole days off. I'm back to work for 2 days. I am so exhausted. I don't know what to do with myself. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a stream tonight, lads. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm going to just watch the matches. I'm going to see how I feel afterwards. What you can see underneath there, by the way, is my Christmas pyjamas back on me. Got the uniform out in force. I have the pyjama bottoms on as well, but I thought I will try and appear somewhat respectable for the people of YouTube. But yes, it has been... It's been a long 2 days back to work. I've been quite tired. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to go live. I did go live because I thought the Wolves result was so good. I'm not going to miss going live for that. We've spent enough time talking about Wolves over the last few days that it would be a bit remiss of me if they actually go and win a game and then we don't talk about them. Folks, bear with me just a wee minute. I see Rob popping in the chat there. Hello, Rob. But bear with me just a wee second because I noticed the colour. My colour is blue and it should be red, and it's very silly. It doesn't really matter. But it's also a wee bit irritating when I set it up to be red and now it's not, and I don't know how to change it. I don't know what I did to make it blue. I didn't do anything to make it unred. So whatever, we're going to be blue today. Dabba-dee, dabba-die. But yes, so the first match, I'll pull up my good old pal SofaScore. Let's get her up on the screen. There we are, because how can I talk to you about the matches if you can't see the matches? And as we know, my memory is actually worse than my technological skills, because honestly, I watched the match. I watched the whole match. I said I was working today. I work in retail. It's the 2nd, the 3rd of January. Nobody's out. And it was icy today in Ireland, so nobody was out. I was able to sit in the shop all day watching the football. I got to see every minute of the matches that I was watching, which was good for me. But the minute I go to the next match, so I watched the whole of Aston Villa Forest. By the time I was watching Wolves and West Ham, Aston Villa Forest is gone out of my brain. So I do need to remind myself when I'm doing this. I take my notes. I have my SofaScore. We've got it going on. We're fully prepared. And let me see. And we can see what we're doing. Look at me go. Right, lads. Did ye watch Villa Forest? Because obviously I watch it. I'm going to be talking about it on here. I can't do much talking about football if I'm not actually watching the matches. That would be a little bit silly on my part. But I know that not everybody watches the half-12 game. Some people like a wee lie-in on their Saturday. They don't like to get out of the bed and watch the football. Let me know. Did you guys actually watch this match? Were you interested in this match? Emery versus Deitch. Villa versus Forest. Villa, who had been on such a fantastic run, smushed by Arsenal just the other day. They needed to bounce back. Forest are just a weird one this year. They're kind of up and down. You don't really know where they are. They were just above the relegation zone when myself and Ash were looking at them the other day. They need some points in the bag. They were maybe thinking after Villa crumbled against Arsenal that now would be the time to kind of strike them while they were down. Hello, Mama Flossie. Nice to see you. Guests is in the house. Everybody's joining. All the ladies are here. But yes, so you're thinking if you're Forest, if you're Dyche, right, you're thinking, kick them while they're down. Arsenal have already scuppered their run. They're not coming on an unbeaten run anymore, on a winning run anymore. Arsenal have done the dirty work. All we have to do is grab a few points while they're already lying on the ground. Well, Villa were having none of that. They started this match fast, real fast. There was just, for the whole, first, I would say maybe even 15 minutes, it was just serious, sustained pressure by Villa on Forest. They were on them, and you could very much see it was a clear response to the performance, to the result of the Arsenal match. They were out for blood. They were out to redeem themselves, and you could really, really, really see it. So it could have went one way or the other. Obviously, Forest were hoping it was going to go the other way. It wasn't. What I did want to make a note of, and it's not just in this game, but I did see it in this game. There was a number of times in this game, in the Wolves game, some of it in the Arsenal game, but the Arsenal game refereeing was a bit odd, so I'm not going to include it too much. But certainly in the Villa game and the Wolves game, I did definitely think that there was a lot, and we talked about this, myself and Ash the other day, there was a lot of tackles, there was a lot of fouls, there was a lot of things that weren't given as penalties or free kicks or yellow cards, that were much worse, much more contact than what we saw on Semenyo and Esteban, which was given as a penalty. And it's the last time I'm going to say it because I'm annoying my own head now, repeating myself in multiple streams, but it was just to say how quickly and how frequently we see that kind of contact and much worse, and there's no consequences. The consistency within the league and refereeing, within matches by the same referees, is brutal. They need to sort themselves out. After the first kind of period of sustained pressure, it did then become kind of more end-to-end. Forest were starting to work their way into the game. They'd done a fantastic job of defending. They were really, really tough because Villa really did put on the pressure. And I thought Forest defended really, really, really well. But they were defending for large parts, the whole start and for large parts of the end of the first half. And then right at the end, Ollie Watkins, assist by Morgan Rogers, scores the goal, 45+1, just going in at half-time, scoring the goal. Exactly when you want, well, obviously you want to score any time, but I mean, if you're going to pick a time to score, just muller the other team before they go in at half-time, just when they think they're making it to half-time, when they think they've made it through the half without conceding after doing all that defending, and then they potentially come out in the second half with all of the extra sort of maybe confidence, and they're going, right, we've weathered the storm, and now we're absolutely going to go for it. Big up Danny in the house, Leeds fan, telling everybody, smash a like, get subscribed, join in the chat, vote on the poll. We are interactive because it's Saturday night. I don't have work tomorrow, folks. I'm off tomorrow, and I have a cup of tea in my Westlife mug. I've also got new nails. Not that most of ye are going to care, but I'm quite pleased with myself. So bear with me while I take a good old slurp of my tea that I made by myself because I'm in the house on my own. If I hear a bang, there's our Chris. Evening, evening, evening. You'll be a happy chappy this evening. But yes, so if I hear a bang or if I have to disappear sharply, it's because the cats have destroyed something and there's nobody else in the house and I have to check on them. But let's hope that they can behave themselves for an hour. I'm definitely not going more than an hour, lads. I know I always say that, but I'm definitely not going more than an hour tonight because there's huge... Oh my God, look, everybody's here. Yous are all here. It's lovely to see yous all, folks. It's nice, 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 because I didn't give yous enough notice. But yeah, I'm going to be playing Call of Duty after this, and I'm going to chill out and switch off for being off tomorrow. But I thought, you know what? If I actually don't do this video tonight, if I don't speak to you tonight about today's matches, by the time tomorrow's matches come, I'm going to forget. And then obviously United are at the start tomorrow. Sure, everything else is going to go out the window because I'm not feeling confident. I'm not feeling happy. That might be a very unhappy video tomorrow. So I thought, let's do the good stuff today. But anyway, what was I saying? Villa go in, as you can see there, just before half-time, they get the goal. They come out, really high intensity again. They started the second half at the same intensity as the first half. John McGinn really good goal, 2-0. 2-0. Just, and then kind of they're 2-0 up, and that way, when it's a really high tempo, it does inevitably start to sort of ebb out. And I see behind the dugouts, all the usuals, all the regulars are in the chat. Up Wolves, go on, up Wolves. No, Danny, I am not feeling confident for tomorrow whatsoever, but we're going to get to that. We're going to get to Wolves. I am going to mention Arsenal. I'm not going to do a whole video ignoring them, but I'm just going to try and work through them one by one, because otherwise I'll distract myself. And let's face it, then we're here for 2 hours. So after 2-0, the game started to sort of not totally die down, but the tempo didn't stay consistently high. It ebbed a wee bit, it ebbed and flowed, as they say. But then Morgan Gibbs-White, 2-1, he makes a great run, unbelievable run. He almost cuts off his own angle. He makes it harder for himself to score, and then gets the ball in the kind of side back of the net. Really, really good goal. He did very, very, very well. And you know what? If you're going to concede a goal, it's going to be a goal like that. It was a really, really good goal. Forest then sort of had their tails up a wee bit. They're going, okay, we can get back into this. They're fighting away at it. And then again, the tempo sort of slowed, it sort of ebbed back out. John McGinn. Now, John McGinn scores again to go 3-1. Now, let me scroll up here so you can see what I'm talking about. So we're way up here now. We're nearly even John with Villa. But this one here, while John McGinn scored the goal is not about John McGinn. The goal is, in fact, about John Victor. Because what in the name of bejesus was he doing all the way out there? So he was way out on the edge of his wee box. And then as they come towards him, he runs away out into the big box, and you're going, lad, what are you doing? Get back. He trips over an opponent player. He trips over his own player. He's way out here in no man's land. You can see his own team, as John McGinn goes past to score, are looking at him going, well, you're not saving it, sunshine, are you? Now, he did then end up going down injured. He comes off the pitch absolutely distraught. You could see he was sobbing. He was sobbing from the terrible mistake. He was sobbing from the fact that he was having to go off. I don't know if he was really badly injured and he needed to go off. I don't know if it was mentally he needed to go off. I think the right decision was to take him off the pitch, whether physically or not. He clearly wasn't in the right space to continue with the match. I mean, if you take aside the fact that he was really upset, it was absolutely laughable. We are seeing keepers doing some mental things. I was talking about Emi Martinez the other day doing mad kicks out. We're talking about Alisson doing mad kicks out, nearly cost Liverpool a goal because he was just kicking it out without looking who he was kicking it to. We're seeing some mad stuff from keepers in particular, but multiple players playing out from the back. I just think I don't want my team playing out from the back. We bought a Nana, the ball-playing goalkeeper at the back. That was a disaster. So I don't think anybody should be advocating for playing out from the back, because nobody can do it. Everybody's liable for a mistake. But John Victor, that was I don't know what his decision-making process was. He just sort of run out, and you're like, no, run back. The goal's the other way, man. Get back. But he didn't. He went down, he got injured, he went off, he was completely distraught. I did feel a bit sorry for him. I don't know, as I said, if it was really physical or mental, but they were right to take him off the pitch. But you're looking at it going, this can't be real. Like this, I can't be actually seeing this. But look, he went off the pitch anyway. It didn't make all the difference in the world. They were going to, Villa were winning anyway. I don't think he should be, beating himself up. People make mistakes. These things happen. You were losing anyway, so it's not as if, it was the difference maker. It's not as if it was drawn and that was the 2-1. Do you know what I mean? They were already winning. Villa get the points back, which they really needed after that game against Arsenal. That does mean, will they show me the bloody table? No. I probably have to click the button. Right. So there we are. There's the table now as it stands. Obviously, everybody hasn't played. So do you know what I mean? It's a wee bit misleading. Aston Villa up into second place. They're 42 points, which obviously means a 6-point gap between Aston Villa and Arsenal. But Man City have yet to play. They play Chelsea tomorrow. If Manchester City beat Chelsea, which I think is what's going to happen, they'll go up to 44 points. The gap will still be 4 points, even if Manchester City win tomorrow. 4 points is a little bit more comfortable than 2. So, obviously, that's what Arsenal are going to be hoping. Arsenal are going to be hoping that City lose completely and keep the gap at 6, which really, you're going to have to start thinking about the fact that they might actually win this league, which is distressing. And yeah, huge. He wasn't great on the first goal either. Like, he didn't have a good out even, bless him, and he was really upset. I think he sort of knew in himself. Sorry, I'm going to have to cough and I don't want to burst your eardrums. There we are. Too much talking, not enough tea. But yeah, no, look, he didn't have a good time of it, and he was really upset coming off the pitch. He knew he wasn't doing well, but look, he's hardly the first keeper to have him there. Hardly the first keeper. But that brings us to the next match. Brighton-Burnley, I didn't watch this one. Brighton-Burnley was on at the same time as Wolves-West Ham. Considering we all predicted that Wolves were going to win this match, this was going to be their first win of the season. They were going to double their points. They were going to six points. They were getting it on the board. I was like, I absolutely have no heed in any other game at this time other than Wolves. So I didn't watch the Brighton-Burnley game. Hello. Nice to see Gav in the house. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, so I didn't watch Brighton-Burnley. Brighton hadn't been fantastic this season, and Burnley, while they're down in the relegation zone, you just never know some matches. It was one of those matches I didn't know what was going to happen. Now, Brighton have moved up into 8th, but obviously they weren't there before. They were way down here somewhere. But again, because it's so congested here, 1 win, 1 set of 3 points. And look, say there, if Newcastle won, they'd go from 26 to 29, they go from 14th up into 7th. 3 points can make a massive difference. Brighton did the business, 2-0. Burnley's still just only Wolves below them in the relegation zone. Brighton have clawed their way up, but multiple teams underneath them are yet to play, so it's unlikely that they're actually going to stay there. But my favourite game of the day, the one that I'm going to be concentrating on, the one that I'm the most excited for, well, are Wolves. Wolves won the match. They got 3 points, people. 3 for Wolves. They have doubled their points. They're on 6. Are they about to do the mentalest thing that anybody has ever seen? Are they going to be able to get themselves out of the relegation zone? Is it possible? What do we think? Just tell me yes or no. Can Wolves get themselves out of the relegation zone? Is this going to start a run? Because the reason we've been talking about Wolves getting a win isn't just because we're all a bit delulu, we're all a bit mad, we're all just love an underdog story, but they have been improving. They've been scoring more goals. They've been playing better. They've been looking more dangerous. Their problem has been conceding goals. So not only did they get a win today, but to get a win with a clean sheet is absolutely massive, because the confidence that will, first of all, they're seeing results of the hard work. So when you're working hard, you're doing the right things, you're making the right moves, you're doing all the things you're supposed to be doing, but you're still not getting the results. You're not getting the points on the board. Eventually that starts to become demoralizing. You stop believing in what you're doing, and then you stop doing what you're doing because it hasn't been working. So the fact that they've got the points on the board, the reward for the hard work they've been putting in, the fact that they've managed to do it while getting a clean sheet is really, really, really good. I see Dave Boy in the chat. Good evening. I see, what was there? I see a comment from Gav. Gav says no, he doesn't reckon they're going to get out of the relegation zone, but it's going to be fun watching them battle for points. Do you know what it is? I think teams need to be worried, because what I would like to do, we are going to talk about West Ham as well, because Nuno is not having a good time of it. But I just want to concentrate on our winners, Wolves. So let's have a wee look at their last matches. Obviously, they drew to Manchester United. Now, I wouldn't read too much into that by itself because Manchester United are an unpredictable beast and you never know what United you're going to get. So to be frank, that result by itself means nada. But if we go back here, the match before that was 2-1 against Liverpool. I know for a fact the Liverpool fans were sweating. They were sweating. They were terrified Wolves was going to draw that match. They really, really stuck it to them. Now, I didn't watch the Brentford Wolves match, I don't think. That doesn't ring a bell. I don't think I've seen that one, so I'm not going to say too much on that one because I didn't actually watch it myself. But just before that, they played Arsenal. And let's face it, it took them scoring 2 own goals for Arsenal to win that match. So in their last 5 matches, they could have beaten Arsenal if they had just not made individual errors. Brentford, I can't comment on. Liverpool, they definitely could have taken 1 point. United, they absolutely, I didn't click a thing there, make them a favourite. But United, they definitely could have beaten us. So on another day, if they take their chances, if they get the rub of the green, if things just fall for them the right way, that could have been another 7 points. Do you know what I mean? Imagine where that would have put them, above Burnley for starters. So I think this win has been coming. This win has been inevitable. And I think it's going to give them confidence. It's going to give them a boost. And it might just put them on a wee bit of a run. Not like a winning run, they're going to smash everybody in the league. Let's not be crazy. But I do think now that they're seeing the fruits of their labours, it's going to give them the incentive to keep putting in the work that they have been doing, and the work they've been doing has obviously been making a difference, not only in the results, but in their performances, because no longer do we look down here and just see a train of red. We've got a draw and now a win. The next match they have is against Everton. Everton did win their last match, but they haven't been 100% convincing all season. Why can't I see Everton's matches? Because I clicked the wrong button. So, this is Everton's last 5 matches. Now, obviously, they beat Forest, but they drew to Burnley. Burnley, that's just above Wolves. They drew. They lost to Arsenal, which is fair enough. They lost to Chelsea, which is fair enough. They did beat Forest, but at that stage, we're back to the start of December. So, in their last 5 matches, they've lost 2, drawn 1. So, and their 2 wins, both of their wins in their last 5 matches were against Forest. So the fact that they drew Burnley, I think is going to give Wolves a wee bit of hope. It's not as if Everton are setting the world on fire. And I think Wolves are going to be going into the match with confidence. Now, obviously, we'll do our predictors before the next match week with Ash. So I'm not going to make a prediction. You're going to have to wait for my score on that one. But I do just think, probably not that they're going to get out of the relegation zone because that gap is still ginormous, but they could definitely overtake Burnley. And I don't think they're going to beat the worst team ever in the history of the Premier League points tally. I think now that they've got 3 points on the board, they're going to run with it. I really do believe that. Also, their goal scorers today. So I don't want to say this man's name wrong. Hwang Hee-chan, is that right? I don't want to say it wrong and be very rude to this poor chap. I wrote it down so I wouldn't make a bugger of it. Yeah, Hwang Hee-chan. So he had scored the second one. But let's go to the start. Right at the start. 4 minutes in. Unbelievable start to the game. They were well up for it. They were ready to go. They set the tempo. That was really important. 4 minutes in, they've got their goal. Really good link-up play between the team. Hwang Hee-chan, who I was speaking about, who did score the second goal, he assisted the first goal for John Arias. Really, really good goal. Obviously, they got the penalty then. They went 2-0. And then Matheus Mane, who is 18 years old. 18 this boy is, right? Do you see, when I was 18, I'll tell you what, I absolutely was not, I clearly wasn't scoring goals for a professional football team, but I wasn't doing anything that's professional, let me tell you. I was in college, so I was probably doing my best to have a golden week. Do you just call it that when you attend all of your lectures for a whole entire week in college? We used to call it a golden week because nobody ever did the bloody thing. All those optional ones, and you just study from home. Yeah, well, that's what I was doing at 18. This boy is taking his team to 3-0 and their first win in the Premier League this season. Very, very, very good. You could see the delight. You could see as the game went on, they were enjoying it more and more and more. I just thought they did really well. I was so pleased for them. And again, just as I mentioned earlier, there was a lot of tackles that were more contact than the Semenya Westerveld one. So it just, again, saw it again. But look, I didn't really care in this one because I was just delighted for Wolves. Now, I want to make a note of this because, Wills, don't tell us what you were doing at 18 because we don't want to scare the people. But that was Wolves' first win since the 26th of April last year, according to the commentator, which I thought sounds pretty bloody drastic. I also thought, isn't it interesting that only the other day, Rob Edwards' head was on the chopping block. Rob Edwards, all over Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, all over social media. Rob Edwards is going to be sacked. They're already lining up his replacement. They're already in talks with his replacement. They are ready to go. The man was only in the place, I think, 7 matches, and they were ready to get rid of him. I wonder, after that win, is Rob Edwards' head still on the chopping block? Because you would like to think not. So, just a word of caution to people who turn too quickly. I don't know if any of the Wolves fans were. It was primarily a kind of a social media driven thing. But yeah, I just thought it was very, very interesting. The other manager we have to talk about, Nuno Espirito Santo. Man, it's not going well. And it didn't go well at the end in Forest. And we know Nuno's a good manager. It's not that it's a crazy thing to say, but I mean, look at this. Points per match. I mean, 0.73. He's getting less than a point per match. It's not great, lads. It's really, really not great. So, first of all, you have to say, while the owner of Nottingham Forest is he's a bit of a rogue. You're all talking about rogues. He's a bit of a rogue. He is a bit wild. He likes to make snap decisions, but were Nottingham Forest right to remove Nuno because he's not doing particularly well at West Ham? And is his job in very serious jeopardy? What do we think? Also, if they got rid of him, who would be willing to take West Ham on, and where would he go? I mean, we do seem to be moving around all of the managers at the minute, but I just thought it was interesting because really both of these managers went into this match with a serious amount of pressure on them, and one of them came out smelling of roses and one of them did not. And it wasn't the one that most people were probably expecting. So let me know, is Nuno in danger? Should he be in danger? Were ye all delighted for Wolves? Are we all buzzed? Honestly, I've only seen one person on the whole internet that wasn't happy for Wolves, and it's an Arsenal fan. Well, an Arsenal fan. So let me see what you lot are saying, because to be honest, it looks like you lot are talking about all sorts of and carry on. Everybody's going to be in the naughty steps, so I'm going to have a sup with my tea. I'm going to read some of your comments. Keep them PG for me, lads, so I can read some of them out. Let's do that. There's Sarah Wills joining in. Everybody's in. I'm going to try and not hold the mic too close to me while I slurp this tea. So apologies if you can hear me, because I hate the sound of it. The other fella had another good game, the goal scorer. He will be bought by a better team. I don't know which match you're talking about now because I've gone through so many of them, and that's entirely my fault. Do you mean that's probably from the Villa game? So do you mean Rodgers, Watkins, or were you on Wolves? Let me know. The wee 18-year-old maybe. Let me know, because I went through so many things. I talked for too long before I read your comments. It's entirely my fault. All my fault. But I'll get to it. Yeah, Wills isn't telling us what he did at 18. Gav isn't either. Let me see. We were all rogues at 18. Gav is just outing himself altogether in there. Is that to take over at West Ham, Flossie? Slaven Bilic and Michael Carrick. Interesting. Oh, I love Father Ted. That's a great show. Wolves. So the wee chap, that was the wee chap. I said his name, Mateus Mane. He was the wee 18-year-old that scored. The guy that scored the penalty was Hwang Hee-chan, and the guy that scored the first goal, his name is after escaping me completely, and we're only after been looking at it, and it's gone. Arias. Is it Arias? Arias, yeah. So that's the young fella that's 18. So I am assuming that's who you meant. The Jungle Father. Where's our Trav? Trav! Nice to see you. Nice. And I haven't even talked about your team yet. You're just in time. Yes, Straits. Yes. He's a really, like, for 18, and he only turned 18 in September, so it's not like he's 18, nearly 19. He's only just 18, and the smile off him whenever he scored, I was so delighted for him. He just, and like you could hear, like, even the commentators were talking about him, and you know, he's going to be one of them. And I think you're right. I think people are definitely going to go for him. They're definitely going to try and get a look at him. Hopefully you can hear me properly. If you ever can't hear me, just let me know, because I just move us in and out when I'm drinking and eating, so you don't have to listen to my like mouth movements, because but yes, so delighted for Wolves. We'll do our prediction for their next game when we have Ash back on the channel before the next round of games. But that means, people, without further ado, I'm going to speak about Arsenal. Now, as we know, I'm a Manchester United fan. I don't really like Arsenal very much. But we have Travs in the house. I like Travs. I don't know if Anthony's around here, but I like our Anthony. We like Wills. So we're going to do our best to not be really mean about Arsenal, okay? I'm going to use all of the self-control I have to say nice things about the team that won the match. So, to be fair, going into this match with Areola, we had Arteta. Arteta is perpetually under pressure, very similar to all of the United managers, just always under pressure no matter what. Areola, like Glasner, at the start of the season was one of the... Gav has got it. Got it in one. But Areola, like Glasner, was one of the managers to watch, one of the up-and-coming managers. He was on the list. Do you remember, was it the first international break Amram was getting sacked and we were looking at who was going to be the new manager? They were the two names that were top of the list. They're the guys. Then obviously things took a bit of a turn for Bournemouth. They weren't doing all that well. I thought Arsenal were going to smash them coming into this match. First of all, because of what they were after doing to Villa. Second of all, because Bournemouth's season just seemed to have taken a really bad turn. They weren't doing very well. And I thought, this could be a bit dross. This could just be Arsenal romping home. To be fair, we did have a little bit of excitement. It wasn't just all one way. And I just want to say, because I did it to Wolves. So before this, Bournemouth's last win in the Premier League was the 26th of October, 2025. I would just like to remind everybody, we are now in January of 2026. That was quite some time ago. Oh, Mama Flossie with the live update. Luke Littler, Manchester United fan, has just won in the darts. Hopefully, that's a good sign for us tomorrow. I don't know if Danny's still in the house, but Luke Littler's after winning the darts, which means my confidence has been restored in all things Manchester United. We're obviously going to win the match. That's not how it works, but sometimes it's just how I like to cheer myself up. Yes, Jay is saying, get in Littler. He's only 18 as well, isn't he? He's another young fella. Like, he's flying. My granny loved the darts. She loved the darts. Growing up in the house, we would have watched the darts, we would have watched the snooker, we would have watched the football. Honest to God, we watched it all, so it's nice. I like to see the darts when I can. Obviously, I spend a lot of time watching the football these days, so I don't often get to see as much of it as I used to, as much as I like. Everybody knows I'm into the ice hockey now, loving that a bit. But well done, Luke Littler. Yeah, he's really, really good. They were doing, they had specials on him earlier on some of the bookies for like the number of 180s he was going to get and all. He's so good. He's so good. Were they booing him this evening? He got a bit of booing the other day, didn't he? He wasn't none too pleased. But were they booing him this evening? Let me know. But well done him. And you know what? He said he didn't care. He looked like he cared at the time. He said he didn't care. Obviously, it didn't get into his head too much because he won. So I'd say he's pleased. Delighted for him. He might be at the match tomorrow. Bring us a bit of good luck. He might bring us a trophy with him. That's winning darts. But back to the matter at hand. Thank you very much, Flossie, for that distraction. I appreciate you. There's a few minutes out of my Arsenal talk, but thank you. But yes, the game started, and actually Bournemouth were well up for it. Bournemouth were really up for it, and I actually think Arsenal were as taken back as the rest of us that Bournemouth were up for this match. And the game starts with an Evan Nilsson goal due to an errant pass from Gabriel, I think is the best way I can put it. I'm not entirely sure who he was trying to pass to because there was nobody in the vicinity of Evan Nilsson. So it's not as if, you know, he cut it out or there was somebody nearby or it just went slightly the wrong way or there was no other Arsenal player in the vicinity of Evan Nilsson. So I don't know who he thought he was passing it to, why he passed it there, but it looked like it went where he wanted it to go. And so Ash did suggest to me in the group chat that maybe he kind of passed without looking and thought it was a teammate. He thought Evan Nilsson was a teammate and should have just looked properly at where he was passing the ball. So Evan Nilsson scores 1-0 to Bournemouth. Nobody was expecting that. Even the commentator says it was just a brain freeze. And when he said brain freeze, I thought, goodness me, are we talking about the cold? Where's Al Hamza to talk about the cold? So it just gave me a wee giggle. But he does make up for it. You go back down the other end. I think it was 5 minutes later. Am I right there? So the 10th minute, the 16th minute. So like 5-6 minutes later, down the other end, he redeems himself completely. Obviously, Gabriel scores the goal. Madueke was fantastic. He runs around into the box, down sort of the line, past two players, cuts it in. The first person gives it a go and it's saved. The second person gives it a go and it's blocked. The third person to give it a goal is Gabriel. He gets it in. He scores. You're level at 1-1. But I also thought to myself, and this is just, again, from my perspective as a Manchester United fan, Madueke did fantastic, but then you had three players in the box lining up to take the shot, to get the rebound, to collect the second ball, to, if the keeper spills it, to get it in the back of the net. And it's something I don't see with my team. We either have all the people in the box and nobody crosses or nobody gets it in, or we get it in and we cross it and there's nobody in the box at all. And I just thought, Madueke did really well. The rest of the team did really well. They linked up together. Everybody was where they were supposed to be. And the reason that they got the goal was because everybody was did what they were supposed to. So I just thought it was a really good goal. And obviously, Gabrielle was going to be very relieved because when you cost your team a goal by doing something absolutely mental, the only thing that's going to make you feel better is getting a goal back and basically making amends, which he did. But look, you go in then, half-time 1-1, you're thinking, right, that's not so bad. 1-1 is better than most of us expected Bournemouth to be doing at half-time. We'll take it. We'll take it. Can I just say, poor Semenyo, he seems to have a bad rep. Now, I think he was okay this match, and that was another thing that fed into this match. It was Semenyo's last match, and Bournemouth were at home. It was essentially his farewell to the team and the fans. Hi, Billy, nice to see you. So yeah, I thought maybe he might be mentally checked out. Ash thought maybe he was gonna, have a last hurrah. He seemed to be somewhere in the middle. He seemed to do some things good, some things okay. He certainly wasn't wow. Do you know what I mean? I see some of our United fans are hoping the Arsenal segment is done already. To be fair, I'm also speaking about Bournemouth. It's not just Arsenal. There is going to be more Arsenal in this bit because, well, let's face it, they started scoring more goals. Sick in your backside, but they did. So, just before Arsenal's next goal, so at the start of the second half, Brooks could have given Bournemouth the lead again, but he took it wide. He had done well initially. He could have, if a shot was better, taken Bournemouth to 2-1. He didn't, and then literally 2 minutes later, down at the other end, Declan Rice makes it 2-1 for Arsenal. And I just thought, isn't that the way it goes? Because if Brooks had made it 2-1 to Bournemouth, Bournemouth had taken the lead again in the match. Arsenal aren't used to going behind, and you're thinking they've already come back once from behind. Even if they come back again, it might only be a draw. And you're sort of thinking maybe. He didn't. Arsenal go ahead, and you're going, right. The love being ahead. Once they're ahead, that's it. It suits them. Certainly in matches. And I just want to say as well, I have a wee note here on that goal for Rice in the build-up to it. Gyökeres did quite well. Now, overall, I think Gyökeres has been the same as many of the other striker signings this summer. Underwhelming. Not hitting the heights he should be doing, not scoring the goals he should be scoring, really not doing well. He's been subbed off repeatedly in Arsenal games. Has he played, Wills will be able to tell me, has he actually played a full 90 minutes for Arsenal at all yet? Because every time I see him in a game, he's getting subbed off. And it's normally around the 60th, 65th minute. So it's not late in the game he's getting subbed off either. So obviously Arteta is hoping to play him into form, but isn't willing to throw matches away waiting for the goal to happen. So I thought he was good in the build-up. Overall in the match, he was just underwhelming. He might as well have not been there. He didn't do a whole lot. But in the build-up to that goal, I thought he did good. Since it's the only good thing he did, I thought I might mention it. As you can see, not long after that, he was in fact subbed off. So then we carry on. Oh yeah, actually, speaking of the subs, sorry, I don't want the tea to go. It's really icy here today. It was -2 when I was driving home for work. Wills coming in with the facts. Good man. He's played 1 or 2 full matches just because of the injuries, but he does usually get subbed off. Yeah, I've just noticed that a lot, and I didn't know if it was just the matches I was watching that was happening or if it was an actual pattern with him. But yeah, I suppose that makes sense with his injuries and the fact that he is sort of underperforming. Let's see. Oh yeah, Arsenal depth. I was like, there's something else I was going to say. Now lads, sketches are filled this evening because I'm not going to talk this nice about Arsenal very often. This is the nicest it gets. And it's because they are doing well and there is actually a potential they might genuinely win the league, which is terrifying. But yeah, so Arsenal's depth was insane. So I just want to take a look here because their starting lineup was really, really, really good. And then here, 66, 67 minutes, they're making substitutions. They're bringing on Gabriel Jesus, Lisandro Trossard, who has been phenomenal for them this season, and Saka. Like, honestly, they're your subs. They're the people that are coming on. And I just thought people talked an awful lot about Arsenal's depth, about Arsenal's squad at the start of the season. And frankly, I just thought they were being a bit dramatic, to be quite honest with you. But genuinely, actually, they really do have serious depth. When they don't have 20 million injuries, they really have serious depth. Like, they've such a strong set of players. This is the first time I actually think it's possible that they might win the league. I know. I have to say it, people. I have to get it out of my system. But anyway, so then we carry on. Declan Rice, again, 3-1. And then Croupy gets one back. He did quite well. He was playing well. I saw him play recently for them. So he was only on here and then straight away scored the goal. So literally 74th minute, there he is coming on. 76th minute, there he is scoring. And at 3-2, Arsenal did start to look a little bit stressed. Arteta did start to look a little bit stressed. There's Arash. He's just woken up. No, Chris, I don't feel better getting that off my chest. It sickens myself even saying it. I had to just swallow a bit of sick in my mouth there. But look, while I'm not, I've made it very clear on this channel, I'm not going to be impartial whatsoever. I'm a Manchester United fan. I'm not happy to see Arsenal winning. I hope you don't win the league. I am still hoping that Villa are going to continue the march and do a madness. But I do have to admit at this point that it is possible that Arsenal are going to win the league. I'm going to have to block my brother. I'm just never going to have to speak to him. 2026 is the year that I block my brother, because if Arsenal win the league, I'm not listening to him. He's bad enough as it is. Siblings, who would have them? So I'm still hoping on Villa, but there's a possibility. There's a possibility I'm going to have to prepare myself for this. Ridiculous. But we Kirkby, coming back to something that's not Arsenal, but Croupy, I saw him in another game recently. Who did Bournemouth play recently that I saw him? And he played like really well. He's a good wee player, him. Now, come on, talk about making an impact. He came on, he scored a goal and then got a yellow. But look, as we know, folks, the match finished 3-2. Bournemouth right at the end were having an attack and the referee blew the whistle. Can anybody, and not the Arsenal fans, because I don't trust you to be impartial, but genuinely, it's highly unusual for the referee to blow the whistle when any team is attacking. And I have to say, I would say the same thing if it was Arsenal attacking. To be honest with you, I would. I don't understand why he blew the whistle mid-attack in a game that's 3-2. Because it can make a difference. Like, if it was 3-1, if it was more than a 1-goal difference, I would say, well, it makes no difference. They're not going to score 2 goals in 10 seconds. But when the score is 3-2, 2-1, 1-0, when there's 1 goal in it, and the team that's a goal behind is in a dangerous attack, I don't understand why you would blow the whistle. I thought that was wrong. And nobody can say that Bournemouth would have scored, but nobody can say that they wouldn't have. And that would have had a very, very different look at the end of the game. What I would also say, Flossie, yes, the TV did say that, because I had Sky on, and there was a point where the Sky Sports pundit says, and I don't know which one of them it was, I don't know which one there are by voice. The Sky Sports pundit says, the referee's letting them away with murder here. They're taking ages to take. There was one point they were doing corners. They must have took 6 lifetimes to take the corner. Arsenal were definite, and I don't blame Arsenal for doing it because all teams do it. It's the tactics at the end of the match. You're trying to see the game out. You're trying to time waste, the dark arts, whatever you want to call it. I'm not criticising Arsenal for doing it because all teams do it. I'm absolutely criticising the referee for not putting a stop to it, for not calling them out, for not handing out some yellow cards, and for not saying, stop wasting time. And actually, the fact that they were wasting time in extra time meant that the referee not only shouldn't have blown the whistle early while Bournemouth were mid-attack, he probably should have added on a little bit of extra time to the extra time because of the time wasting. So I think that was wrong. I don't think he should have done it. And the fact when Sky Sports pundits are saying it, and they don't say anything controversial because they don't want attention, they don't like it, especially from the referees, it's highly unusual. And like that, not only should he have not blown the whistle mid-attack, he probably should have added on an extra minute or so for all the time wasting they were doing on the set pieces, the corners and everything else. The fact that and I think this is hard because you're not criticising Arsenal. Arsenal fans will automatically want to defend it because it's their team that benefited, but you're not criticising Arsenal. You're criticising the referee. You're criticising the fact that any team, was time wasting at the end of a match. And you're criticising the fact that when there was a 1 goal difference, the referee blew the whistle early mid-attack. Those two things, regardless of who you support, are wrong. They're wrong, they shouldn't happen, and they may now have an enormous impact on the league because, as we said, Arsenal now have already got a 6-point gap, and even if City win tomorrow, which likely they will, that is still going to be 4 points, which is more. So it's had a direct impact on the league. So I'll be very curious to see if anything's said on Ref Watch or anything like that. But let me see what you guys are saying. Gav is saying silly from the ref, very silly from the ref, absolutely unnecessary. And the thing is, if he'd let play continue, it might have just went out. Do you know what I mean? Nothing might have come of it, but we will never know that now. Flossie is agreeing. Let me see. Will's saying they finished the City game early too. I actually think I do remember something being said about that. So they need to be spoken to, because if it's happening at all, let alone if it's happening more than once, it needs to be explained to them. Are you thick? Have you never watched a game of football before, let alone refereed one? Don't blow the whistle early. I mean, just don't be stupid. He got a TV watch for Christmas. Let me see. Yeah, it's not something that usually happens, but it shouldn't happen at all in any match. God, we can't upset Arsenal. Like, do you know, they don't, Wills is saying, and look, maybe this is fair because I don't know. Wills is saying it does make a change because Arsenal usually get the short end of the straw with those kind of decisions. I have to say, I don't know. I'm not looking for it when I'm watching Arsenal matches, and I don't watch every Arsenal match. I always feel that United don't get, a lot of 50-50 decisions. So I don't know enough to say. You might be right. I don't know. But yeah. Flossie is saying it fuels the refs are corrupt argument. So there's a lot of rumours, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of stuff on social media, there's a lot of, when fans get together and they have a chat, there's a lot of talk of corruption, and there's a lot of talk of ineptitude, there's a lot of talk of conscious and unconscious bias, there's a lot of talk of not being fit for purpose, of the PGMOL as a whole needing an overhaul. And this just fuels that kind of thing. It was a really poor performance by the referee. Jay is saying we'll get 10 minutes added on tomorrow then. And you know what? I know you're saying that tongue-in-cheek. I know you're saying that a bit sort of jokey. But you know what? It's the kind of exact thing that would happen. So today they blow it up early. They don't add enough extra time. Tomorrow they play far too much extra time when they shouldn't have. It's exactly the kind of thing that happens. And it incenses people, because tomorrow we might be saying, blow the bloody whistle. Hurry up. I mean, there's a 3-goal difference. Nothing's happening. Blow the whistle and end it. And that's the thing. See, if that was 3-0, he probably wouldn't have blown the whistle. He would have let it play away on. because it was 3-2 when he should have played it on, he didn't. I just think, do you know what it is? They remind me a wee bit, and I'm sorry to name a player, but they remind me a wee bit of Alejandro Garnacho. Now, what I mean by that, it makes sense because this is just what's come to my head. When Garnacho was attacking, when he should cross, he would shoot. And when he should shoot, he would cross. His decision-making was terrible. Nothing to do with his talent, but his decision-making in the final third, in the big moments, was dreadful. Really bad decision-making. And that's how I feel about the referees. They spend most of the game being fine. They're okay. There's no big deals. There's some decisions, do you know what I mean? It's grand. And then when it comes to a big decision, like a penalty or ending a match mid-bloody attack, when it comes to the big decisions, they can't make them. They're bad decision makers under pressure. And I just think, who said it there? Gav. They're not trained properly and they're not held accountable when they're awful. And that's the thing. If you don't tell the person that they've made a mistake, how are they ever going to know that they've made a mistake? How will they correct it if they don't know it was the wrong behaviour? You need to tell them it was bad behaviour. You need to tell them it was the wrong decision so that they know not to do it again, so that they know to correct it. If you say, pat on the back, lad, well done today, they don't think they've done anything wrong. They continue to make those kinds of decisions. So, what was the one before? Oh, right, yeah, okay. And Chris is being very honest in the house. I'm a gooner. I thought he blew early and then he should have played another minute. Look, pat on the back for Chris. See, we get all the nice Arsenal fans in our chat. That's why I'm doing my best, to be fair. Hello, Tyrell, nice to see you in the house. Another nice Arsenal fan. See, we do. I don't like Arsenal, the team, but we do get some nice Arsenal fans on our channel and in our chat. So it's important that we try and make them feel, because I want everybody to feel part of the community. I'm still going to be a Manchester United fan. I still don't want you to win the league, but I'm going to do my best not to just say mad, outrageous things for the sake of it either. So doing my best. It's for you guys because you're so nice. Ash is going to ditch me. He's not doing any more predictor shows. He's off to learn how to be a ref. Lads, that's the end of it. I was going to do a half an hour. In fact, I wasn't going to do any show at all because I was tired. And then I was like, right, I'm going to do a show because I'm going to forget everything that happened in all the matches. And we can't do that. So then I said, right, I'm going to do a half an hour and then I'm going to go off and chill out. 57 minutes later, here we are. Ash is going to train to be a ref. All of the Arsenal fans are being completely reasonable. Wolves have doubled their points. Villa are back in the race. And Danny is convinced Leeds is going to win tomorrow. Streets is convinced United is going to win tomorrow. I'm not convinced about anything. Luke Littler won the darts. It's all been going on. Every time I go live, everything happens. I get so distracted. Thank you so much for joining me, folks. It's so lovely to have you here. I love to see you in the chat. I love the back and forth. I love the bit of crack in the banter. I love that we're all different teams. And it's nice banter. It's a bit of crack. It's a bit of a chat. It's not like... it's not silly, nasty stuff. It's nice banter, fun. Everybody go, have a nice cup of tea, have a nice drink, enjoy your evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully I'm going to be this happy tomorrow. Hopefully it's going to be happy face. Wolves and Manchester United are going to win. All the underdogs in the house. If you haven't, do smash a like on the video. Do get comments in afterwards. Say anything you like. I don't mind, but continue the chat and I will get speaking to you all tomorrow. Have a good one, folks.